Before my business trip, I planted a small recording device in our living room just to ease my mind. But when I heard my husband and mother-in-law talking, I realized their plan was to get rid of me. And in that moment, I knew my life would never be the same again. I had trusted him completely, never doubted him for a second until I heard, with my own ears, how he planned my destruction in my own home. That night, the woman I used to be died, and someone else was born. Sometimes, a single sound, a single word, can shatter your whole life. Nina Kovalenko didn't know that morning would be the one that changed everything. The day was just breaking, rain tapping softly against the glass. On the table were two things, her passport and a small gray box. It was a hidden recording device her neighbor Galina had given her, saying, "Put this in your living room. Listen once, and you'll thank me later." Nina had laughed at first, but something deep inside told her she needed to do it. Her husband, Artyom, had changed in ways she could no longer ignore. Everyone feels when love starts fading, but he made it painfully obvious. He came home late, avoided her eyes, and their once lively house had turned into a tomb of silence. One night, she smelled an unfamiliar perfume on his shirt, and her heart trembled, but she stayed quiet. Maybe he's just tired, she told herself. But that scent awakened something ancient inside her instinct, and that instinct never lies. Her fear silenced her feelings, but it couldn't kill them. Before leaving for her trip, her trembling fingers slid the device between the books on their shelf. "I just want to be sure," she whispered. But deep down, she knew sometimes knowing the truth hurts far more than living a lie. That's why most people choose to live blinded by it, to suppress their instincts, to look away. On the train, she watched the world blur by forests, stations, the smeared lines of rain. Her heart was heavy with unease. When she arrived in Novgorod, the rain had stopped, but inside her, a storm was raging. At the hotel, she opened her laptop. The device connected. New recordings available flashed on the screen. Her finger hovered over play. 1 second, 2, then she pressed it. At first, only normal sounds. Footsteps, TV noise, the clinking of glasses, then the doorbell. "Who is it?" Artyom's voice. And then a cold, familiar female voice. "It's me. Open up." Nina's heart stopped. It was her mother-in-law, Valeria, the woman who had disapproved of her from the very start. "She's not home, is she?" Valeria asked sharply. "No," Artyom replied quietly. "She's gone for a few days. We can talk freely now." "Good," Valeria said. "It's time. We start the plan tonight." "Plan?" Nina's breath caught in her throat. Artyom continued. "Just a little longer. I've already invested the money. Then we'll finally be rid of her." Valeria's voice curled with satisfaction. "Ah, my son, you'll finally avenge your father. That woman and her family humiliated you for years. Now it's your turn." Nina froze. Her father's name, Leonid Kovalenko, sent chills down her spine. He was a cold, calculating businessman who saw people as assets. "Why now?" Valeria asked. "Because her father almost ruined mine," Artyom said. "If that case hadn't been closed, his life would have been over. But I found his weakness." In that instant, Nina understood her father and her husband had been connected for years, bound by secrets that were about to destroy her. She pressed her palms to her temples. "No," she whispered. "No, this can't be real." But the recording didn't lie. She cried until sunrise, her eyes hollow. In the morning, she called her father. "Dad, did you know Artyom before I married him?" she asked. Silence. Then, dryly, he said, "The business world is small. Everyone knows everyone." But in that silence, she heard guilt. She hired a private investigator that same day. 3 days later, her phone rang. The investigator's voice was grim. "Mrs. Kovalenko, this won't be easy to hear. Artyom's father once led a money laundering investigation against your father. The case was mysteriously dropped right before your marriage." Nina's fingers went numb. "So, my father traded me for his freedom?" Silence again. Something inside her broke. The next day, she packed her bags. I'll face them. Both of them, she told herself in the mirror. Outside, a storm was raging. She rented a car and drove into the night. Rain lashed against the windshield, wind howled through the trees. Hold on, Nina, she whispered. You have nothing left to fear. But fate had other plans. A sudden flash of headlights, a motorcycle swerved into her lane. Screeching brakes, twisting metal, darkness. When she awoke, she was in a small wooden house. A candle flickered on the table. An old woman leaned over her. Easy, dear. You're safe now. Her name was Claudia. Her son, Roman, had found Nina unconscious by the roadside and carried her home. Days passed in a blur of pain and fever. Claudia fed her herbs. Roman dressed her wounds. Each morning, Nina stared at the mist outside and wondered if she was dead or just lost. There was no phone signal, no noise, only silence and the scent of pine. Roman spoke little, but his calmness steadied her. One night, by the fire, she asked softly, "Why did you help me?" He smiled faintly. Because helping someone else sometimes saves you too. For the first time in years, Nina slept peacefully. Days turned into weeks. Roman taught her how to bake bread, split firewood, wake with the dawn mist. She had forgotten what peace felt like. One morning, Claudia took her hand. Your heartline, she said, tracing her palm. It was broken, but it started again. That means a second chance. Nina smiled bitterly. A second chance? My life's cursed. No, child, the old woman said. Curses are just lessons in disguise. When the roads finally cleared, Roman offered to drive her back to Moscow. The ride was quiet, but safe. As they reached the city, he looked at her. You don't have to go back, he said. You don't owe them anything. Nina closed her eyes. No, I have to finish this. She walked into her house that night. The lights were on. Artyom sat with a younger woman, laughing over wine. The door slammed. Silence. The woman stood up. Startled. Who are you? I'm his wife, Nina said. Artyom's face drained of color. The woman stormed out. Nina stepped closer. I know everything, she said coldly. The blackmail, the money, the lies. You saw me as a burden, but I was the only thing keeping you human. Artyom lowered his gaze. We can fix this, he muttered. We'll split the money. Start over. Nina laughed, sharp and cold. Then, she slapped him hard. You'll never have anything again. Not me. Not the money. Not your soul. She left and went straight to her father's mansion. Leonid sat at his desk. Calm down, Nina, he said. Let's talk. You sold me, she screamed. You traded me to save yourself. He lowered his head. I wanted to protect you. No, she said. You protected yourself. The room spun. Her vision went dark. When she opened her eyes, she was in a hospital bed. You've had a miscarriage, the doctor said quietly. Tears streamed down her face. Even her unborn child was gone. But with that loss, her fear died too. Her father came, weeping for the first time in his life. Forgive me, he said. I forgot how to love. Nina said nothing. She stared at the ceiling and realized something. Sometimes the darkest nights are where rebirth begins. Months passed. Artyom went bankrupt. Valeria vanished. Leonid donated all his wealth and confessed his crimes. Nina opened a small design studio in the countryside. One day, there was a knock on the door. Roman stood there, holding a small box. Saving someone once might be coincidence, he said. But saving them twice, that's destiny. He knelt, opened the box, and smiled. Nina, will you build a new life with me? She wept softly, then nodded. I'm not afraid anymore, she whispered. Because this time, the choice is mine. Her voice echoed like a final truth. Sometimes, betrayal is how the universe redirects you. You break, but you're reborn. And I finally learned even the darkest secrets can lead you to the light. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because sometimes, one voice can change your whole life.